Hello, you beautiful people. Cooking with Choil. My name is Big J, and today we're going to be making Birria tacos. They're chili flavored goodness, yummy, cheesy, beefy, and full of flavor. So we're going to show you how to start making these today. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm hungry. You hungry? Let's get cooking. All right. So today for our Birria, what we're going to do is get our meat prepared. You can prepare your meat in, I think, one of three ways. One, you can just cut it up, season it. Another way we can do it is we can cut it up, season it, sear it on the stove in a pan, nice hot pan with some oil. And the third way is the way we're going to do it today. I want to cold smoke it. And the reason I'm going to cold smoke it, normally we would smoke it with a little bit higher temperatures, like 250, 275. But today we're going to stick it around 150, 170, because all I want to do is get some smoke flavor into the meat, because you know what we're all about, adding flavor, right? So we're going to smoke our meat for a while. We're going to chunk up the chuck roast. We have some short ribs that one of my wonderful coworkers gave me, some beautiful short ribs, and this chuck roast here that we got from the store. We're going to actually cut this up, chunk it up into smaller pieces, so that way we can get some smoke all around the meat. All that's going to do is add flavor into our consomme that we're going to be dipping our tacos, our Birria tacos into. So let's get into cutting up this meat. We're going to get it on the smoker, and then we're going to come back later when the meat is smoked and put together all of our spices, our beef broth, our chili paste. We're going to show you how to make our chili paste as well, and then get all this flavor infusing. So let's get chopping. Take our meat. Now, normally I don't want all this fat in here, but some of this fat that is in here, we're actually going to render that down, and that's going to be used for our tacos, because our tacos, the shells are going to be dipped into the fat juices from the beef, and that's going to flavor our tacos. So we're going to chunk this up nice and big. Big chunks is good. It's okay because this meat is going to render down and end up being super juicy and super tender. I don't necessarily want all this fat in there, and I definitely don't want it lumped up with the meat. So I'm actually going to chunk this off separately, so that way it's easy to pull out later. You see that fat? It's almost all fat in that piece. That's almost all fat. So we're going to leave it in there, but we're going to get it away from the meat. So when I go to shred this up, it's easier to separate. So nice big chunks of meat. That looks about good for our meat. So to help the smoke stick, we're going to put some salt and pepper on this, season it up a little bit. Get some seasoning on it. Don't be afraid. Big piece of meat. Salt. The pepper really helps the smoke stick to it. We're going to roll this up so we can get pepper on it all around. We love seasoning in this house. So our chuck roast is ready. Let's get our ribs ready. We're not going to do much to these other than get them out, season them up, and get them on the smoker. Look at all that beef. Beef, beef, beef. Meat Mountain.
Oh, almost on the floor.
All right, so we got our meat all seasoned up. It is a mountain of meat. Normally I wouldn't cook up this much meat for Birria, but we're going to be sharing it with some people that helped hook us up with the meat, share some flavor with them. And we'll be back in a bit. We'll show you what we're going to do in the smoker here in a second, and then we'll be back later to make some of the chili paste, and then get our spices all together and get it all in a pot. So let's get out to the smoker. So we got the Traeger set to smoke only. That's exactly what we want. The reason we want smoke only is all this fat that's on the ribs and in this chuck roast is going to be used for dipping our tortillas in. So we need to preserve all the fat that we can, but we want to add the smoke flavor to it. So we're just going to cold smoke it for a couple hours, get some of that flavor on there, put that right into our Birria tacos. Doesn't really matter where it's at on the grill for this, because like I said, this is a cold smoke, it's not a hot smoke. I mean, I am smoking hot, but you know, that's an issue. Boom, they're off to the races for an hour or two. So now what we're going to start with is the base for our burrito tacos. To amp up the flavor, we're going to use chilies. In particular, we're going to use Guajillo, California, and Ancho chilies. These are dried chilies, and what we're going to do is extract all the flavor out of those, turn them into a paste that's actually going to go into the burrito sauce and flavor up our meat. And also, this is what's going to give us really yummy, rich flavor for our consomme that we're going to dip our tacos into. Now this, you can actually use, you can make a bunch of this up and make chili out of it. You can make enchiladas, wet burritos. Why are you laughing at me?
Sorry.
Why are you laughing?
I don't know why.
Quit interrupting me, I'm making a video. So, but in order to get the chilies, some of the flavor out, to put into the chili paste, we're going to toast these chilies up. Then we're going to hydrate them in some hot water. Some people use beef stock. I like to use hot water because we're actually going to discard this. It's going to actually pull a lot of the bitterness out of these chilies, leave all the sweetness inside the chili, and we don't want that bitterness in our sauce. So we'll end up adding a little beef stock to it when we go to process it down and make the paste. So let's go ahead and toast up some chilies and get this going. All right, nice hot cast iron pan. I'm using cast iron. You can use stainless steel if you like. We're just gonna toss some of the chilies in there, mix them around a little bit, let them get all nice and toasty. It is fall, gotta get warmed up. You just wanna move your chilies around every once in a while. You do not want to burn them. Burn them will make them bitter. And we're looking for flavor, not bitter. Don't be angry. Don't be bitter. Be happy and glad. Flavor makes us happy. So to hydrate our chilies, all we're going to do is simply cover them with boiling water and let them sit for 5 to 10 minutes. And while this is steeping like a tea, we're going to get stuff ready for our meat so we can get that in the oven. All right, so we're back. So we've got our chilies hydrated. See how nice and juicy those are? But what we don't want is we don't want all this liquid. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna extract these out of here, put them into our blender, because we want this as fine as possible. Let some of this drip off. Woo!
Water will make it bitter.
All this water in here is really bitter, and you don't want that bitterness inside of your paste. So we're gonna go ahead and, you could also strain this off if you wanted to, using a strainer, which is what I'm about to do for the rest of this. All right, and we're gonna add some salt, probably a teaspoon or two. Then we have a lot of garlic. This is about 50 grams of garlic, 1 whole head of garlic. Recipe should be down somewhere, probably on our website. We'll have a link to it in the video. All right, so all we're looking for here is lots of flavor. You could also add some other spices to this if you wanted to, but I leave it a little bit more blank because I am going to use this for multiple different types of recipes. I'll add those flavors in later as I'm cooking. So in order to get a nice paste, we want some liquid in there for it to be able to blend. And this is basically just how many ever chilies you're using. You'll have to edit your liquid to that. This is a Vitamix. This thing is pretty powerful. We're gonna start on a little bit lower. Get it going. Now, as you can see, I had that on high for probably about 30 seconds. This is formed into a beautiful, wonderful paste. All those chilies blended together are delicious. Smells so good. All right, so now you can store this in a container that you can freeze it, so you can use it later, like I said, for enchiladas or for wet burritos. We'll turn it into a sauce for all different kinds of things, but we're gonna use it today for our burrilla. We use these to store them in. All right, we'll be back in a minute to put together our meat and our consomme to be able to cook our meat in, and then that's gonna go in the oven for a few hours, and then we're gonna make our tacos. So we'll be back in a bit. All right, so our meat has been smoking for about an hour and a half. Oh man, look at that. Look at that. Look at that red color on the meat. Oh my. Yeah, Billy. That is all delicious going into our pot here. Look how soft it is. Wiggly and jiggly. Look at that. Look at that flavor. Oh my goodness. You gotta be kidding me. This is gonna be ridiculous. I don't know if you can see, but on the pan down underneath this, there is almost no fat that is rendered off that, and that's exactly what we want. We want all of it to render into our pot so we can use it to make our yummy tacos. So now we got the meat off the smoker. Now we're gonna start building our flavors that are gonna go into the consomme and help cook all this meat down into a ooey, yummy, unctuous meat that strips apart. So the first thing that I want to put in here are my spices, because we're gonna pour some beef stock in over this, and we want all that to pour down in. So we're gonna put a few bay leaves in here. These are fresh bay leaves. You can use dried bay leaves, but we're gonna put 4 or 5 of those in there. We have some coriander seed. Don't like these little tops on here. It restricts how much we put in there. I'd say that's probably about 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of coriander seed. And don't worry, all this stuff gets filtered out later. I got a lot of meat in here. We're gonna have a lot of consomme, so I'm gonna go with 2 cinnamon sticks. You can go with a little bit with 1 if you have less meat. We do have a lot of meat in here today. Then we're also gonna use this is a lot of garlic. Don't be afraid, because we're going for a lot of flavor, right? It's all about flavor today, baby. So, all this garlic in, 100 grams, 2 full heads of garlic. Look at that. But isn't that wonderful? Doesn't that look good? Something else we're gonna use, this is cooking with Choil. So we're gonna use a decent amount of chili oil in this chili crisp. So this is my Thai. A lot of the heat in this will dissipate, but some of it will stick around. Look at that. Don't be afraid. Get right in there. I think we could use a little more chili crisp. It's not gonna hurt. Because we're going for what? Flavor. And if you get the oil in there, nothing wrong with that either, because we're gonna use that oil to dip those tortillas in. So boom, look at all that chili crisp. Now, what we want is our wonderful, yummy, super flavor chili paste. Look at that. We're probably gonna put about half of this in here because we want a lot of chili flavor in our consomme. I'd say that's probably a little over a cup, maybe a cup and a half. Boom. Like I said, we do have a lot of meat in here, so we're gonna use about 2 full boxes of beef stock. Beef broth. Almost 2 full boxes of beef broth. What we didn't use for our chili paste, we're gonna use the rest of it, plus another box. This is gonna give us a lot of consomme and help all this meat render down beautifully. We're not gonna quite cover the meat. It is gonna get close to the top though. Woo! Look at that. Flavor. Flavor. All right, now we're gonna cover this. This is gonna go in the oven at 300 for probably anywhere from 4 to 5 hours. So make sure you're planning this meal ahead. This takes about 6 to 8 hours to make. You wanna start early in the morning if you're gonna be eating it for dinner. You can also do this dinner the day before, and then that meat holds really well since it's nice and fatty, and so you can cook the day before. So we're gonna put this in the oven, then we'll be back later to put it all together and have some delicious birria tacos. All right, it's been about 4 hours since we threw the chuck roast and the short ribs in the oven. Now we get to separate the liquid from the meat and all the goodies that we put in there. We're gonna pull the meat out, set that aside, then we're gonna strain off all of the liquids from all the particles. Then we're gonna take that, which is the beef consomme, put it back on the stove, let that start cooking down because we wanna intensify all the flavors that we put in there. So when we dip our tacos in it, it's like, dang. So this is what it looks like after about 4 hours. Oh my goodness, look at that. All that red from the oil and all the meat that rendered down. You see how tender that meat is? It just squishes when you take it out with the tongs. So what we're gonna do now, before I take all that out, I'm gonna actually strain off some of this oil like I got all over my counter. You see that? That's all oil. And what we're gonna do is use that for our tortillas to fry them when we're cooking our tacos. This is all yummy goodness. It's gonna make the outside of your tacos taste fantastic. So we're flavoring the shells. We got super yummy flavored meat. Then we're gonna add some cheese. It's gonna be yummy, gooey, amazing. And remember, we put some of our Choil chili oil in here. That amped up our flavor. But we got a lot of oil in here, and that's exactly what we want. Make a lot of tacos that way. To me, this is the best way to get the oil out, outside from chilling it and letting it harden. Over there, look at that. That's a big bowl of delicious right there. And a lot of that came from our short ribs. Now we're gonna use our tongs, get all this meat out of here, where we can separate the bones, meat. And it's just falling apart, as you can see, as we pull it out. You got bones just sitting in here. So we're gonna let this cool down for a bit while we work on our consomme. But my goodness, wow, you can smell some of the cinnamon in there, those chilies. When you pull this out and you open that lid up, you just get a blast in the face of chili flavor, chili aroma. I'm really excited to try some of this consomme here in a little bit. So then what I did was I took a strainer, strained out everything that I didn't want to sit there and slowly pick out. So as you can see, we got our consomme separated from all of our bits that were in our pan. We'll get the rest of the meat out of there. And then it's up to you on what you want to do. You can actually use a finer strainer to get this nice and smooth. I'm not too worried about it. I don't mind the little bits and pieces in there. So what we're going to do is take that consomme, put it on the stove, let this beef cool down a little bit, and then we'll be back in a bit. All right, so my beautiful assistant has the meat all shredded up. We have our cotija cheese, cojita. Then we also have some quesadilla cheese, Monterey Jack, our tortillas. We got our oil. We're about to head out to the flat top. We're about to make some tacos. Woo! Chubs in the background. Woo! That's great. Good job, Chubby Dog. Good timing on that one.
Hold on. There you go.
So we have our flat top nice and hot. We're gonna dip our tortilla in the oil. Ooh, look at that, isn't that pretty? This is gonna help fry our tortilla. We're gonna get a couple of these on there. Now we're going to take and put our cheese on them. We love cheese. Don't be afraid. It's going to make it ooey and gooey. Oh my goodness, you can smell the chilies, spices coming out. This is just like magical smell. You see that oil running everywhere. Now we're going to put our meat on there. Now that we got these loaded up, let's get them flipped over. We're going to use our tongs to hold the meat. And squish it down like that. Hold the meat in the center. Use your tongue to flatten it. Now that we got done folding them all, go back and flip them. Hear that? Nice and crispy, crunchy, packed with flavor, cheesy, yummy. Goodness. My goodness. That's all I can say. My goodness. I can see the cheese still melting in there.
Okay, recording.
All right, so we've got our tacos all made up. They're nice, cheesy, gooey, delicious. As you can see right here, we have a bowl of our consomme. The consomme cooked down for about probably an hour. It's nice and thick now and delicious. A lot of those flavors concentrate when you cook it down. So that's why we let it cook while we're getting everything else ready. And then the last thing we're gonna put on it, a little bit of cojita cheese. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? And then we like to put cilantro on it. Most people will do cilantro and onion. But we just do a little bit of cilantro and cheese. Typically you put the cilantro and onion inside of the consomme. You do you, we do us. So we leave that out. We just put it on the taco. Some of us put it in the consomme, some of us don't. So we're about to enjoy some of these. So I'm about to tear into these delicious Birria tacos. Let's give them a try. Look at this. Break it in half, let you guys see that. Look at that yummy, gooey cheese. And what we're gonna do, what you do is normally have this in a smaller bowl. We put it in a little bit bigger bowl so you can see it. Look at that, doesn't that look delicious? You can see the dark richness of the chilies in there, the red color. Wow. That is truly incredible. I mean, there's such powerful flavor in that consomme. Then you get the richness of the cheese, and that tenderness of the beef, crunchiness of the taco. That's dang near a perfect bite, people. You're gonna love this if you make it just like this. You can tailor it to what you like. But I'm gonna keep eating because this is freaking delicious. Stay hungry, my friends.
Rip off your hand. You're gonna drip it.
Never. That's a wrap.